Hi, this is Sean Float. I'm with Moving into Harmony. What I'd like to do is share with you some very important concepts today about movement and how some areas of your body that you may not even realize are related so that you too can start to move in more whole and fruitful ways for both self-care and for making those activities that you do in daily life actually more healthy and less of a demand on your system.
So let's talk about the feet. Let's really look into what it means to have balance in the feet. Where do we stand on our feet? And then how do we move from our feet? Remember that when the body is being integrated in its base, there's less and less and less of a chance for there to be maladaptive patterns or patterns that really don't suit the circulation of health. Okay, so the diagram that I just shared with you has 4 points. As you can see, it's an oblique relationship. We don't operate in just single planes. So if I was to say for you to have an awareness in the bottoms of your feet, and I use those 4 points as your reference, it's really better to understand what's happening across the bottoms of your feet. So that's the first thing, is as you're just standing, and you're welcome to come along and do this as I talk, what do your feet feel like on the earth? And I want you to stay with feeling and don't go right away to correction or trying to make something different. It's a matter of just noticing what's it feel like from your outer heel to your big toe. How do your big toes feel? Do they feel short? Do they feel pulled in? Or do they feel long, like stretching out like an antenna? And in the same fashion, what does the pinky toe feel like in relationship to the ball of the foot? Is there space? Does it feel grounded without extra weight? And how does that relate to your inner heel? So just take note. And then just try to put more weight mechanically into one of those points like they don't have connection to the earth. And notice that the mechanical nature of you trying to correct actually causes more harm than good. It actually produces an adaptive response that doesn't suit the circulation of your health. So give it a try. So right now, my big toes feel like they're short and I'm not weighted through the right one. And then let me physically push into that big toe and you can see all of a sudden I go off weight. My whole body is fixated on that big toe. And I exaggerated, so I'll do it a little less exaggerated. You see how I shift? So now all this side of my body has to adapt to me coming off a center, when in fact, if I can remain in my center, as deep in the belly, which will be another episode around how we have access to our deep base of support. But for now, just stay in your center and see, just by awareness, just by feeling, can that happen? I want to show you this really cool little tool first before we actually continue with playing with our feet and feeling the awareness of the bottoms of the feet and how they support us. It's called a foot rubs, and it's about maybe $7. It's one of the best tools I have ever found. But you can see it kind of has little knobbies on it. So however you are in relationship to your feet, this ball can actually help with your feeling. It's not meant to break any adhesions up or try and make your foot, more mobile and all that kind of stuff, but really just use it more as a sensory tool. Okay, so they're called foot rubs. So I just kind of put it down. It's better without socks. And just begin to kind of roll it around. If you need balance, you can always use the wall. You can do it sitting as well. But the key is not to push hard, just to roll circles, back on the heel, ball of the foot, up under the toes. Wherever you feel it, there's nothing, just play. It's really important that you play and you have a feeling of dexterity like you do in your hands. Your feet have the same capacity, but a lot of people don't believe that. But you do. Before you do your next one, I would just stand. And what do you notice when you've worked on one side with this sensory tool? Like, what does it feel like when your feet make contact with the earth? Mine feel more broad. They feel warmer. They feel like there's more contact out to the edges. And it feels more alive. So having those qualities, the mind can attach itself to, oh, this is a good thing, instead of some pain or, oh, it doesn't feel right, or, oh, it just feels good. So it's better to develop that qualities, not just the good. So we do the other one. If you do the one and just notice the difference, sometimes, again, you learn by comparison what one feels like versus the other. That can also help you to understand whether or not that's going to be useful for you. So now both feet feel grounded. That 4-point relationship is better there. My big toes actually feel longer without me doing anything other than just bringing sensory and probably some circulation to the bottoms of my feet. I've been in my head most of the day. And so that tendency is, that's where most of the circulation goes. And it's true that you notice that an MRI that they do when you actively think about things or certain emotions, called a PET scan, that's measuring the blood flow in real time for something happening within the brain. And so all the neuroscience studies, they're measuring circulation. And so something gets stimulated or used, that part of the brain lights up. Well, that happens everywhere. So if I'm using my brain all day, my feet are not going to have the circulation that they will for me to do simple practices or to be able to stand or even to go dancing with my sweetheart tonight. Got to redistribute, find ways to get the circulation down if it's all been pulled up all day. So that's what it means to be in your feet. All right. So now we have that 4-point relationship. We can begin to, play with it. And I would let feeling be your guide. Try not to mechanically correct something. So if the insides of my feet aren't making as much contact as the outer, maybe I'm nervous talking right now. I go to the outside, there's a little rigidity in my spine. You can kind of see I got a little stiff. But let me mechanically try and correct that and watch what happens to my legs and my shoulders. You see how I kind of drop in? That's mechanical. I have to set up more adaptation that oftentimes creates more problems than what the body can really do to make the correction. So just use your awareness, use your feeling. I challenge you. How quickly do you go to trying to fix something and put that ruling mind in charge of correcting your body? Or can you use your feeling, have patience, take a moment, take a few breaths just to notice and see what the body's capacity is to make the correction with your growing awareness and sensitivity and inquiry into wanting to circulate your health. It's so important. It also happens, I'm going to turn to my side and watch what happens. So again, you can use the picture or whatever as your reference. Watch what happens when I go to the outsides of my feet. See how I kind of get erect? For some of you, this may be like, well, that's how you stand up straight. No. It actually puts a lot of tension into the back body, and you don't get that ability to have the supportive circulation moving down. You actually block it by holding yourself up. You create circulatory obstructions in trying to hold yourself up. That'll be for another episode. But for now, even just being on the outsides of your feet, you can see how rigid you get. So let me let that tendency go. And you see I even come back into myself. Here, I might even be a little forward. My legs actually come on more. Now, I'm going to try and repeat putting energy into my head like I've been working all day. And let's see if you can see what happens in the body. So right now what I feel is that more weight went into the balls of my feet. My heels feel lighter, and I actually feel like I leaned forward a little bit. There's some tension starting to develop into my back. I have a little tension at the base of my skull. So you can see just by me shifting my weight into the front parts of my feet how it created these things. And my body said, wait, something's not right. So instead of me trying to correct, let me just put awareness into, wow, the weight's in the balls of my feet. Wow, my eyes are really pulling me forward. So first, with the awareness of the toes, I make the shift. Now I'll take the pinpoint focus out of my eyes. Let me do that again. Pinpoint focus of the eyes. I'm kind of looking on the wall over here at something that's got my attention. Versus, let me shift the focus. Now I'm kind of looking out through the window, out to the side. I can kind of see the picture here. Now I kind of dropped my gaze a little bit without dropping my head. I just dropped my gaze back behind my cheekbones. And you can see how that changes. Same thing if I'm kind of back, kind of hanging out. I see a lot of this posture in the day. People, legs snapped, kind of leaning. Doesn't look real good, does it? But this is what happens. Or they step out wide and they just kind of lean, or they're talking to their friends. So, your body will adapt to this position if you do it a lot in the day. Here, okay, oh gosh, my back's hurting. I need to do all this stuff instead of, well, maybe instead of being out wide, where I don't have a vertical support, I don't know how to stack, maybe I bring my ankles in lines with my hips, using my feet as my reference, and let my body make the shift that it needs, versus me trying to correct, the problem. Your correction to a felt pain, the local fixation of your mind to try and fix your pain, is a superficial solution. When in fact, as I did with my eyes and my feet, you saw what changed. So 3 things. Cross-reference in your feet. How do you feel balanced? Right to left. Vertical support. And the fore and aft feeling of balance in your feet as well, and how that relates to your back body and your front body. And do you have a centering aspect through the crown, through the center of your pelvis, down through the center of your feet that give you ease in the center of your body? I wish you playful experimentation and exploration, and I look forward to hearing about it.